When the Hawks first traded DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans, many people weren't sure what to think about the return. 91 deflections, 44 steals, 14 blocks, and a 5 seed later, I think Dyson Daniels has made it very clear that he's the real deal, starting to reach some truly rare territory as a defensive guard. Most of Dyson's time is spent defending at the point of attack, where he's a pretty good matchup for just about any team's primary perimeter creator thanks to some impressive physical tools. He's incredibly light on his feet and quick left to right, which allows him to stay in front of even the league's most explosive attackers. He pairs that quickness with great hip mobility and body control, which allows him to start and stop or change directions to mirror ball handlers. Take this play for example. As Trey Mann moves towards a handoff, all of Dyson's momentum is headed in that direction as well. But when Mann receives the ball and immediately stops to cut back, notice how Dyson's able to immediately slam the brakes while remaining perfectly on balance. Then he's got that lateral quickness to keep the ball in front of him on a drive, and then the size to block Mann at the rim. That size is a huge factor because there are guards all over the league who can move like this, but there are very few, if any, who can do so at a lengthy 6'7". And anyone who can move in the way he does with that much height is probably sacrificing a lot of lower body strength. Dyson, on the other hand, has a very sturdy core that allows him to absorb contact. When it all comes together, the guy's an absolute nightmare. The agility and hip mobility to shut off driving angles, the strength to absorb bumps and hold his position, then the size and length to smother any shot attempts over the top. As a result, he's able to absolutely hound smaller guards. Brunson tries to shake him with a high ball screen on this one, but he stays glued to the ball and to Brunson's hip. Then as soon as he sees an opportunity to get back in front, he recovers to contest a shot at the rim. You'll often see him pick up the ball from as far out as half court or even further with constant pressure like this, and the reason he's able to do so is his hands. In the event that an attacker is able to get around him with all of that space, he's able to recover and reach from behind. So he plays very over-aggressive at the point of attack, getting right into the airspace of ball handlers, jumping over screens early, knowing that if he gets beat, he can still poke at the ball. Words can't describe how much of a game changer his hands are. Here's another example of him picking up the ball at half court, and the Bulls can't even get into the right setup before Dyson's picking Giddey's pocket. And like I said, he's capable of staying glued to his man around screens, where his hands not only limit the ball handler's ability to make a move, they limit their ability to make a pass. The way his hands impact offenses really stands out whenever he's playing man coverage away from the ball. Don't get me wrong, his aggressive style of playing the side of screens early and attempting to deny passes does leave him susceptible to the occasional backdoor cut, but he's the closest thing we have to a defensive back in the NBA with the way he can completely prevent his man from receiving basic passes. This play starts with some set action that has Brunson running around a pin down to come towards the ball, to which Dyson of course intercepts the pass. And here's another one where his man's running towards the ball, this time to receive a handoff, and Dyson reads it so well you'd think the handoff was intended for him. In the event that he's chasing his man off a screen, handoff, or even both, and they're able to get the ball, he's still capable of making a play. And that's if the action ever even materializes, because one thing about Dyson is that while he's working on denying his man the ball, he's simultaneously reading the play and isn't afraid to take risks. Like on this one, he's defending this shooter on the wing and decides to sink to the nail. Even the best nail defenders in the world will typically wait for the ball to get inside the arc before attempting to make a play. Dyson isn't your typical nail defender. If the ball ever gets anywhere near the middle of the floor, whoever has it has to be aware of every surrounding, because as soon as they're not, here comes Dyson for a steal. His instincts and anticipation are just off the charts. Shea's the type of player that you really don't want to help off of, but as Chet starts his attack, Dyson recognizes that he's planning to spin back towards the middle and puts himself in perfect position to blindside him with a swipe down. I mentioned it earlier with the ball denial, and it's true that this is a very high risk, high reward style of play, and you absolutely will have instances where he doesn't get a hand on the ball, then isn't in a great position to recover. This is a good example of him being a bit too over aggressive playing the nail. Then when the ball gets moved to his man, he has to get overzealous on the closeout, and that breakdown results in a wide open 3 for Seth Curry. However, I think there's a lot more good than bad in these spots. On this one, he again plays the nail very aggressively, swiping at the ball, and that anticipation I talked about really stands out because he actually starts to close out to his man before Jalen even makes the pass. So when White attempts a 3, he's right there to contest. Thanks to a combination of anticipation, agility, length, and those lightning quick hands, he's absolutely filthy when playing the gaps. The Hawks are able to get aggressive with their coverages and cover for Trey in ways that they couldn't previously do, thanks to Dyson's ability to cover multiple players at once. And he'll even bait the offense. On this one, the Pistons are looking to get the ball into Isaiah Stewart as he establishes deep position on a matchup he likes. Dyson starts to drop to the paint to bait Beasley into thinking the skip pass is open, only to jump back out and pick it off. It isn't just on the wing where he'll get aggressive and put himself in position to make plays on the ball though. As the low man, he loves to come over early and wreak havoc, which is exactly what happened on the final possession against Sacramento, recognizing that Fox wants to drive and overplaying the left side of the floor before taking a swipe at the ball to ultimately seal the game. That final stop was actually recorded as a block, not a steal, and Dyson picks up a decent amount of these swipe down types of rejections, whether that means he's chasing the ball from behind or rotating towards a slasher and help. He knows how to target the ball. As a result, he's currently averaging over a block a game. And those that aren't recorded as blocks, well, those get grouped in with all of those times he picks pockets or jumps lanes, helping to his league-leading average of 3.4 steals per game. I'd like to mention that only one player in NBA history has ever averaged at least 3 steals and a block over an entire season, and that player was Michael Jordan in 1988 when he won Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe even more impressive than the steals and blocks though, are all of those plays he makes on the ball that aren't recorded on a traditional stat sheet. What you're looking at right here is every recorded instance of a player getting a hand on the ball. On one axis, you've got stocks or steals plus blocks per game, and on the other, you've got deflections. Up top, you'll find Wemby, who's already emerged as a generational defensive playmaker. And I'd also like to highlight 2 members of the #1 defense in J-Dub and Caruso. Jokic is another guy who's constantly finding ways to deflect the ball or force turnovers, and if you're wondering where Dyson is, well, we're gonna have to expand the graph for that because he is currently averaging an absurd 7 deflections per game, nearly 3 more than any other player in the league. To understand how stupid a number of 7 deflections is, we're gonna have to rewind the clock to when they first started tracking them. The 2017 season is when we first started getting that data, and in the 8 years they've been a thing, the most any player has ever recorded over an entire season was Robert Covington in 2018 with 315. If Dyson were to hold his average and play every remaining game on the Hawks schedule, he would end the season with 560. I'll leave you with that number. No, Atlanta isn't a great team defense, but Dyson might just be the only thing keeping them from being the very worst. His ability to disrupt entire offenses at the point of attack through his ball pressure and switchable man defense. The way he can take his man out of the game by denying the ball or chasing him through every screen. The way he can roam the floor and anticipate everything the offense is going to do as a helper. We're witnessing one of the best defensive seasons from a guard, maybe ever, and I think it's safe to say that the Hawks are feeling pretty good about that off-season trade. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out the Hoop Venue podcast and my social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Dyson. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.